読み直しているで読み直しているだけがで読み直しているで読み直しているで読み直しているで読み直しているで読み直しているでキスしたいとで読み直しているで読み直しているだけがで読み直しているしたいとで読み直しているで読み直しているだけがで読み直しているで読み直しているで読み直しているで読み直しているで読み直しているでキスしたいとで読み直しているで読み直しているだけがで読み直しているで読み直しているyou
Welcome to the city of the unwritten. A city that's given so much. A city of people who aren't afraid to get their hands dirty. A city of makers, entrepreneurs, musicians, artists. A city of laughter, memories, and people who will welcome others in with a cup of heartwarming handmade coffee. A city of people, young and old, working together. People who explore, live, and grow together. But what makes this place special? Being listed year after year as one of the best places to raise a family. Maybe because we have a community recognized for its safe neighborhoods and revered for its low unemployment. A city where adventure is everywhere you look, where you can pioneer your own story. We've opened a new page to write on for the generations ahead. Welcome to Bismarck. Come write your story.
All right. Welcome and happy 1 Million Cups Wednesday, everybody. How's everybody doing? Good. The sun is shining. We're through the crazy April. We might have freezing temperatures again this week, but we will ignore that for now and enjoy the sunshine today. But yeah, my name is Tyler DeMars. I'm with the Small Business Development Centers in North Dakota. I'm happy to be your MC this morning as we learn more about our bike share program coming to Bismarck. First, a little house cleaning before we get to our speakers. So, first, how many first-timers here this morning? Couple. Okay, welcome. If you are a first-timer and you don't know, we like to get our first-timers, we like to mug them. So if you're a first-timer, you get a free mug, 1 Million Cups mug. They're very nice tumblers. They fit in cup holders very well. They're also a great size for tea, which is hard to find in the coffee mug. Then each time you come back, bring your mug. We'll give you a sticker to put on there. It's kind of like the stickers that college football players get on their helmets every time they make a big play. Okay, every time you come here, you get a sticker just like that and get to show it off. When you get up to 5, you get an extra piece of swag. When you get up to 15, John, 10, there's another piece of 1 Million Cup swag, and then all the way up to 25. All the way up to 25, there's a hoodie that you get, I believe. Do I have that right? T-shirt, sorry. You get a T-shirt after coming here 25 times. So make sure you grab your mug if you don't have one already, and then every time you come back, bring it back to add stickers to it. Okay, got to say thank you to our sponsors. These organizations in town give us some dollars to rent this facility and keep this program running. We do have sponsorships available year-round. We do an initial push in the beginning of the year, but if your organization or if you as an individual wants to support 1 Million Cups, we have sponsorship levels for any amount of giving you can do. But if you see folks from any of these organizations and you appreciate our program, make sure you give them a thank you and let them know that you appreciate 1 Million Cups. And if you're interested in sponsorship, talk to me afterwards and we'll get you connected. No? Glitching a little bit? That was a remix. Okay, so what is 1 Million Cups? 1MC is a free weekly educational and networking program. So every week we put a different entrepreneur, is what we try to focus on, a different entrepreneur on stage to come up here, tell their stories, talk about the opportunity they're pursuing, and particularly what we're interested in is what challenges they have. What we want to do is have them tell their story and create a community around them that supports them. So a lot of it might be giving them constructive feedback or good advice during the Q&A session, but a big part of our program is just connecting folks to other people in our entrepreneurial ecosystem who can help people trying to do interesting things, like our bike share group here today that's trying to get the bike share program going up in Bismarck, Mandan. So the question we're asking every week is, can we change the face of our startup community by connecting local entrepreneurs over 1 Million Cups of coffee? Okay, afterwards we'll have a Q&A session, so make sure you have your questions ready. Jackie will be our mic runner today. She'll be bringing the mic mug around. If you have a question during Q&A, just raise your hand and she'll get that to you. And that brings us to community announcements. Do we have some today? We do.
Oh, yeah, sure. I don't know where that came from, but so You did such a great job of talking about the Mug Club. That's awesome. And so we started something a little bit new today, a little spin on our Mug Club. And for those of you that I got to mug this morning, thank you. It's always a highlight. I love mugging. It's two really important anniversaries. We've got the 10th anniversary of 1MC. And if you were here last week, you saw we gave away one of these really special edition 10th anniversary mugs. That's the last one in existence right now. So I haven't even figured out. I think that's if you come like 50 times or something. I haven't decided what that is. But starting today, it's also the 150th of our city, of Bismarck. And so to commemorate that, the mugs have gone to blue, and they're going to stay blue while we're celebrating Bismarck's 150th. And as a little extra bonus, if you collect 10 of the limited edition blue stickers, we're going to give away the 150th t-shirts made by Shirt Shack. And Kayla, would you, this is your cue to role model. They look like this. Woo! Aren't they nice? And this is them in black. They are really nice t-shirts, all right? You can and in any of you who've been collecting the classic white ones too and are nervous, don't worry. They double count basically. 10 of those to get the 150 t-shirt, but they'll also count against the other swag as part of the Mug Club. So you get to double dip this summer. All right. That's all I got.
Just really quick. Hi, I'm Nicole Gagner. I wanted to make an announcement about Bismarcket is coming soon, so get ready for summer. We're still looking for volunteers for this is also our 10th annual Bismarcket opening season, so very exciting stuff there. And then also, we're only 1 week away from our Meadowlark Mercantile community-supported art, our second box pickup. So if any of you guys want to come to the CSA party and just meet artists and have fun, that's happening on May 26th. So you can find more about all of those awesome opportunities online. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I am Jackie Stebbins, and I had the creative title for my business of JM Stebbins. So just want to let you know that my memoir is in the soft launch phase. It is officially launched on June 1st. So I want to invite you to the launch party that Kayla and I were just chatting about. Very North Dakota. We're going to have bars and cookies. No, there's going to be drinks and snacks. You can meet the author, which, you know, is me. And I'd love to invite you all, just have a fun time. It's at Juniper Mercantile. Beth Nodlin and John allowed me to use that. Awesome donation from them to support the downtown. So please come out, and the book will be officially available on Amazon on June 1st. And let me know if you have any groups that you would like to have me come and speak at. I love to do that for local community groups. Thank you.
All right, anybody else with community announcements this morning? Okay, if not, we'll get to our speaker here. So we're going to learn about Bike Share this morning, excuse me. Bike Share, I'd imagine, is a very inclusive program, and our presenters this morning are also very inclusive with their presentation. You see all these chairs up here. We have 5 presenters this morning, so that's we'll hear from all of them. First, what I'd like to introduce, and let's give a warm 1 minute cups welcome to Sarah Rooney.
Good morning. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Okay, so let's just jump right in and get started. So we are a part of the 2020 Bismarck Mandan Chamber Leadership Class, and we are officially known as the COVID class. And so throughout our class, COVID hit, and it got really, really tricky midway through. And so as part of the class, you have to divide up into 3 groups and create a project. And so our project, we came up with this bike share, okay? And so through COVID, it was really hard to get together, to have Zoom calls, but we made it. We did it, and we are super proud. So, okay, so what is the bike share? So it's basically, it started out as a really small idea. We even talked about having some, you know, used bikes all over the town, and we just would have some like drop-off locations. Well, it's kind of bloomed since then. So let me first introduce our team members. So I'm Sarah Rooney with Ameriprise Financial, Julie Jeske with Bravera, Jen Anderson with the Department of Public Instruction, Dallin Bitts with Security First Bank, and Ben Smith with Dakota Media Access. And then we're just missing two, Ashley Horner with First International and Taylor Daniel with Daniel Companies. So that's our group. And so, let's see, what's my next slide? Okay, so what was our purpose? Where did we kind of start with this whole project? So we are all very active and love biking to begin with, but we really wanted to make this project sustainable and to show off all of our paved trails throughout Bismarck. And so we also had thought about this could be a really great opportunity for tourists. So when tourists come to Bismarck Mandan, this could be a great way for them to explore our town. Okay, I think that is my part. I'm going to pass it on to Julie.
I'm going to pass it on to Jen.
And the next slide. So our vision. Our purpose was created with our brains. Our vision really came from our hearts. 6 of the 7 members in our group are not Bismarck natives, but I think that we all have a very huge passion for serving our community in whatever capacity we're able. So when we were developing the vision for this amenity that we wanted to bring to the Bismarck Mandan community, we wanted to make sure that it could be sustainable for a long period of time. That is why we decided to do it in a phased approach as funding was becoming available. There are lots of opportunities out there to get funding from either donations or grants, but it's time consuming to go through that process. So we wanted to start at a little bit of a smaller level with just 4 kiosks and 50 bikes to start with. And the locations, which we'll talk about later, allow everybody to easily access the already existing multi-use trail system in Bismarck. If you've ever lived in another part of the state, it's pretty apparent that Bismarck does an excellent job with the trail system here. We are a very inclusive community, and this is another amenity to be able to access those trails. We also decided it would be best to partner with local organizations, not just to hand off work, but to really make this an amenity owned by the community that everybody could be a part of. We are happy that Bismarck Parks and Recreation did decide to partner with us. So once we hand it off, it will no longer be called Shift, but it will just be the bike share program offered by the Bismarck Parks and Recreation group. That they will oversee the management and maintenance. We determined it wouldn't be a significant cost for them to take over the bike share, but it would make sure that it could be sustainable over a long period of time. And then our vision is for this to be a truly adopted amenity by the community. So when people think bike share, they think Parks and Recreation. We want that recognition. It's a slow go. It's new. So getting that awareness out there is a little bit more difficult when we are limited with our marketing availability and capacity. And then potential obstacles. Lots of potential obstacles when there's something that's new to the community. The first obstacle is just getting buy-in from our community partners. It's new, so we don't have data to show what the usership is like. We can compare to other cities that have had well-run programs, but we don't realistically know what that looks like for the Bismarck Mandan community. Raising funds can also be difficult, again, with being the COVID class. A lot of existing grant programs that are available, everything kind of got disrupted with COVID. So the application processes ended up taking a lot longer. Just keeping our group together took a lot longer, but we're getting there. I think we're pretty well on track with our being able to fund our phases, but it is definitely an obstacle. And then again, the lack of awareness about our initiative. We need people to know what the bike share is to be willing to fund it. We are also faced with the same economic constraints that everybody else is faced with right now. It's not an easy time to try to build or to try to bring something new to a community with limited funding. Supply chain issues pose a potential threat. Luckily, we do have a lot of the supplies we already need. That won't impact us as much. And then weather. We live in a very temperamental area of the United States right now with our weather patterns. We can't pour concrete for docking stations if there is a 4-day blizzard or if there are days and days and days of rain. So our launch is impacted by something as simple as the weather. And the last barrier is advertising and community outreach. We have created kind of a subcommittee, communications committee. Ben and I are a part of that. We are partnering with other agencies to help broaden our reach for our messaging. We're working with the Department of Transportation, Vision Zero, and the cities of Bismarck and Mandan, also looking to partner with other cycling advocacy groups. But we are working on creating some messaging with a little bit of a safety, kind of a safety type of an approach, because once the bike share is out there, we still need people to use it and to know whether or not they are allowed to ride the bikes on sidewalks, for example, or where they're allowed to ride bikes, and for drivers to be aware of where bicyclists are allowed to be. We noticed pretty early on that that's not common knowledge in our community. So that communications group is working to create some messaging around that. And potential partners. So already partnering with Bismarck Parks and Recreation, that is a significant win for us, but also partnering with Mandan Parks and Recreation, the cities of Bismarck and Mandan, looking to partner with downtowners in Bismarck, Bisman Transit, Capital Area Transit. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Again, we want this to truly be a community amenity, so there's no limitation to who can partner with a bike share. There are sponsorship opportunities that are already ready to go if anybody is willing. Maybe this is a good time to throw in that pitch. We have a contract to create labels for businesses who would like to sponsor a bike for a season, and that's something that we're already working on. Other partnership opportunities, like I mentioned, DOT and Vision Zero. It's not just to promote the bike share as an amenity, but to promote wellness in the community, promote safety in the community, and just to, I guess, boost recreation in the area overall.
All right, so I will be talking about sustainability. So this was critical. Designing our system to be sustainable was a primary goal, and right at the beginning we were dreaming big. We wanted to have kiosks and bike stations all over Bismarck and Mandan, but we kind of toned it down and we decided to eat this elephant one bite at a time. So throughout this process we were in constant contact with Fargo as they had launched the first bike share system in North Dakota, and we felt that we can learn a lot from them. And what kept their system rolling was a fee that NDSU charged every student, and in return they got free rides all the time. Unfortunately, the support was short-lived as they had a new batch of student government, and they chose not to move forward with the support of the bike share system. And then, as we mentioned before, COVID, of course, was a part of everything. So there was no students on campus and no bikes being ridden. And long story short, Fargo decided to sell their equipment, and then because of our constant contact, they reached out to us, and it worked out really well. So we got lots of equipment from them, docks, bikes, and kiosks. But to keep these things in good shape, regular maintenance is needed. Fortunately, it is not a significant amount. So an average maintenance cost, depending on usage, is about $25 to $50 every year for each bike, and then several $100s per year for each station. What's cool about B-cycle technology is that it doesn't require like a highly specified technical software engineer or any specific tradesman to operate. It just kind of takes someone with a can-do attitude who's willing to learn things and pick up things as they go along. And so B-Cycle also offers great customer support and can suggest and supply replacement parts. And the cool thing about them is they also, part of the system is a lot of data that gives the operator a large amount of information about the bike stations, about the rides. So some of the information that's updated constantly is like where the most popular stations are, where are people going, are there one rider or multiple riders going from here to there. So it's good to know that. It's also obviously important to know where most of the bikes are in case we have to rebalance them. So when we spoke with Fargo, they said initially they were just running all over the place, moving bikes to another station when there was too much at one place and not enough at another place. But what they found out is that if they kind of took their hands off of it, it tended to balance itself. So they said it was a lot easier than it initially seemed. That being said, there are times where we're going to have to go and balance the stations. So it's just cool because you know what times of day are most popular for riders and kind of where they're going. You get a little insight into the mind of people who take advantage of this type of transportation system. So with all of these tools in place, we believe our bike share system will become an effective and enjoyable part of our community. Another thing that we're excited about B-Cycle is that they're the only established bike share that has an established bike brand behind them, and that's Trek. So Trek is really, really solid. Their bikes typically last about 10 years with minimal maintenance. Some of the maintenance things are really simple, like handlebar grips, new pedals, new brake pads, but the infrastructure of the B-Cycle cycles are really, really solid. So the technology is really helpful. It's going to make our system really fluid and efficient, but it does need constant updating, software updates, stuff like that. So in addition to the bikes, kiosks, and docking stations, we need a budget for software updates. And then, of course, concrete pads, electricity to send to those pads, and then there's connectivity feeds, installation, and maintenance. So all together, we got all of this stuff from Fargo, and including the freight to get it here, it went to just about $49,900. So this was just shy of our $50,000 that we initially raised. So we ended up with about $100 in the bank account moving forward. But we made it, and we're moving forward, and we're hoping to get some additional funding to keep this operation going. And that is where I will pass the mic to Julie, and she will tell you about a little bit more future funding opportunities.
Good morning. I will tell you that I think grant writing is a lot like raising children. So within a 24-hour time period, you're going to have a sea of emotions. You're going to have anticipation, anxiety, depression, frustration, and then hopefully exhilaration. So we wrote quite a few grants in order to launch this program. And when we presented our leadership project, Taylor Daniel shared it on Facebook, and Blue Cross and Blue Shield reached out to us. Whew, thank goodness. So if they're listening, thank you, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Dakota. So they gave us our initial $25,000 grant to launch this program, and that was critical because a lot of grants require a matching grant. So with that $25,000 from Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Dakota, we were able to apply for a Bismarck Park and Rec matching grant. So that got us to the $50,000 so we could buy the equipment from Fargo. Since then, we have received a $5,000 grant from MDU, a $5,000 grant from Basin, and $10,000 from the Department of Transportation or Department of Health. Sorry. We've applied for a $50,000 grant through another foundation, and we're really hopeful that that'll come through because like I said before, sustainability is really critical for this, and we have a lot of costs that we still need to cover with this program, but we do feel that with the sponsorships that are available for the bikes, with the ridership fees, that we will be able to make this sustainable and then also grow our program because we're starting out, like I said, phase 1, but we're definitely hoping to expand. Bismarck is a big community. Right now our focus is a little bit more downtown and the trail systems down south, but boy, would we love to expand up north. And so, right now, you look at the cost of gas, too, and I will tell you that biking is a healthy and an affordable way to get around town. And plus, they're also really rolling billboards. So if you're interested in being a sponsor, we would definitely take advantage of that. And I'll advance the slide maybe. It's slow. It's in first gear. Hold on. Yep, so you can see where we have spots where logos can be located and things like that. And I'm going to turn this over to Dallin, and he'll talk about our approach.
Yeah, so what you see up here is the first phase of our plan to roll out the bike share system. Obviously, our vision is to grow this quite a bit over time, but the simplest and most efficient way to get something like this up and running is to put it in 4 of our favorite parts of Bismarck and 4 areas that we think are ideal, for connecting town as well as providing ridership where it's probably most needed. So Peace Park, connects here downtown. The Saratoga Park and Pioneer Park areas that people love to spend time down by the river on, and then as well as the BSC Aquatic and Wellness Center with access to the beautiful trail systems near the Capitol as well as the Tom O'Leary Golf Course area. So something I'm sure a lot of people, I guess, are wondering about is timeline and cost. So we are hoping to get this up and running, launched in early July of this summer. It's been a long time coming, and a lot of these projects with the leadership classes start out with a lot of excitement and fire, as we talked about, but they can fizzle out over time. And thankfully, we've had a really good group with good leadership internally here, and we've stuck with it, and it's finally going to happen here in July. So the docking stations are going to be on Bismarck Parks and Recreation property, which is kind of the way we strategize with the 4 parks there that we showed in the last slide. Cost, we think, I guess, is going to be fairly reasonable. This is kind of what was recommended, by the Bismarck Parks and Rec Department, what they thought we kind of needed to fund the program and keep things going. So $5 for the first hour and 7 cents for each additional minute after that. To put that kind of in perspective, a similar service that's offered here in downtown with the scooters, I believe we just looked up here not that long ago. It was, what was it? It's $1 for the first minute and 39 cents for each minute after that. So it comes out to being a little under $30 an hour. So we think that cost-wise, this is really going to be affordable and a great way to see Bismarck. So, and again, the ideal partner for us was to start out with the Bismarck Parks and Recreation District. That's who we're going to be handing this program off to once it's off the ground and running. And our leadership team of 7 members intends to stay involved through kind of an advisory committee. So it's kind of our baby, and we don't want to let it go just yet. So we'll stay involved here for the time being. And if there are any questions from you guys, we would love to answer them. If you have anything you're wondering about, excited about, concerned about, we'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Yeah, let's get into some Q&A here. So thank you, guys. This is, yeah, let's hear it for them. All right, I'll get us started off with some questions, but in the audience, if you have a question, raise your hand like usual, and Jackie will be bringing you the mug mic there. So what I'd like to start with is just, can we talk about like what, if I'm approaching one of these stations, what's the process for me to check out a bike? Do I have to wear a helmet? Like what kind of, do I have to sign a waiver? How does that work exactly?
Should we give that one to Ben?
Well, I have my experience from riding B-Cycle in Denver. One of the very first B-Cycle operations was at Metropolitan State University of Denver, and that's my first experience. That was 10 years ago, but it's similar to a lot of these other systems. There's an app that you can sign up with, and you will have to agree to certain things the very first time. Wearing a helmet while you're riding a bike is kind of a no-brainer and is definitely encouraged. And you can also, say you don't want to download an app. I have tons of apps on my phone. There's an option for that. You can go to the kiosk and you can just sign up there, just some basic information, and yeah, agreeing to certain things, and then you're off, you're rolling.
Right, great. And so the waiver, you do have to sign a waiver though, whether it's on the app or right there at the kiosk.
Yep, and it'll just be kind of associated with your account.
Sure. Okay. Right on. Question from David here.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, this is a really exciting project that you guys got going here. Yeah, so I wrote down like 10 questions, but as I'm reading through them, I think there's kind of two main themes here. So I'll ask two questions. So one question relates to the level of coordination that may or may not yet exist with other public entities, specifically the city of Bismarck, that is currently engaged in their long-term comprehensive planning effort, planning for bike facilities on city streets could be a really big part of that coordination. So I'm curious how much you've engaged with the city to make sure that there's infrastructure not just for recreation, but for transportation, to actually use these bikes to get places while you're wearing business attire, just to get from point A to point B in a useful way. So, because that's how I'm imagining I might use this. Related to that is your selection process for those locations, and so that's kind of related. And so I'll pause there, and I do have a second question as well.
Okay. I've been handed the mic. Those are great questions. So in terms of locations, I'll start backwards here. So the reason we selected those locations, first of all, insurance is important for us. So we want to have an insured system. So partnering with the Bismarck Parks and Rec, we're able to use their insurance to make sure that this program is insured. So location-wise, we just kind of thought that that was a nice place to start, is using that trail system along the river, because that's one of the most heavily used trail systems. You can take the bike wherever you want. You can ride into Bismarck, Mandan, you can ride out to Harmon, you can take it wherever you want. You just have to dock it back at that station. And I'm trying to remember the first question that you asked me. Oh, partnerships. I will tell you, we spent a lot of time when we decided that this was going to be our project in conversation with the city of Mandan, the city of Bismarck, Mandan Parks and Rec, Bismarck Parks and Rec, because we wanted to make sure we had buy-in from these entities. It was critical to the success of our program. And throughout the process, we just decided to go with Bismarck, because even in talking with the city of Mandan, they said we don't have the trail system that Bismarck has. And I know Ben Arith is very excited that we are looking to do a bike share program, because they're looking to launch the bike program, or be a I won't say launch it, they're trying to expand the bike program. So we felt this was a good fit, and that's why we also are working with the Department of Transportation to create a video about bike safety, so that riders and drivers, are aware of the rules of the road.
I can add to that a little bit too. So the city of Bismarck is working with us on some of the awareness campaign. There are multiple messages we're working on. One of them is, where is the road allowable for the bike, if that makes sense. So which roads are part of a bike path or a bike system? Because I think you can see just driving around Bismarck, when there's a bicyclist on the road, drivers don't know what to do. They have no idea, is that person supposed to be on the road? In most instances, yes, they absolutely have the right to be on the road. So I think that's kind of the first video Ben just finished yesterday. We're still working on it, but that's part of the awareness campaign. It's not just safety, but understanding where you can use a bike on the road system in Bismarck for the areas where maybe a multi-use path doesn't exist, because bicycles can't be on the sidewalk in our community.
Quick follow-up on that. Did you guys wind up reaching out to the YMCA at all in this process?
We have. We did not. We had initially talked about having a kiosk somewhere in that area. Again, in order to take advantage of the Park District's insurance, we have to put our kiosk on a Park District property. So while the Y was a part of the discussion, as the capital was, if we would look to do something in that area, we would probably put it at the VFW, just to make sure that we kept the insurance going.
Sure. Okay, and then my second question relates to sort of comparing and contrasting Bismarck and Fargo. So Fargo had a fairly successful use of this, adoption of this. It got used a lot because it was connecting the NDSU campus to downtown, and that was sort of the route that got used over and over again. In Bismarck, there's actually potentially a similar situation, so I'm glad to see that you guys have a BSC location and a downtown location. But there's a little bit of a challenge in Bismarck in that it's a little bit farther, and there's hills. And I'm curious, do your bikes have electric assist, or is there potential for that to be there in the future? And also, kind of the big question is, how does this compare and contrast with, might be a competitor, but a similar product is these electric scooters that are now here and around town?
Just the first part, the electric piece. So on the bike paths that we have, our multi-use system in Bismarck, you cannot operate a motorized anything on the trails, whether it's a scooter or a bike. So I'll just touch on that first part. Oh, a bike.
Yeah, if it's you can have an e-bike,
but not the scooters. So there's a little bit of the contrast there for that piece.
Bikes do not have electric.
They don't.
Okay, yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, just real quick, these bikes are the first gen, so they're man-powered, human-powered, you know, just like our parents and grandparents have done it. B-Cycle does have an electronic bike. B-Cycle does have an electronic option that they're rolling out, so that is a possibility in the future. That would be a complete kind of like rehaul, but that is what they're doing, consistency moving forward. And then I'm going to talk about the scooter thing real quick. The scooters are a cool idea. They're just not quite as traditional as the bicycles are. I think more people have, on average, ridden a bicycle than a scooter. The scooters seem to be a little bit closer to the downtown area. The bicycles that we're planning is going to just be going farther and have more opportunities to go on trails. That's all I got.
Something else I would add into that too, asking about the competitive aspect of it there. The way that we kind of envision that is that the two programs kind of they target two different demographics. The scooters, you know, kind of would they would aim towards like a younger crowd, people that tend to be in the downtown area. You know, it's a fun thing to do recreationally on a night out. We envision the bike share system going after kind of a different demographic, you know, and transportation as well, yeah, you know, for the college kids and utilizing the parks. So hope that answers your question.
One more cool thing about the bikes is they've got a basket. You can carry stuff, so you can go get a load of groceries. Not as easy on the scooters. So,
yeah. Scooters are more for fun. The bikes are more practical, right? Yeah.
Novelty.
There's a question back there. They don't have to be to the same kiosk, but they have to be returned to a kiosk. Yep.
And question in the middle here.
So I kind of have two questions. One is kind of a little bit about infrastructure, because as an avid cyclist, I like to ride around town when the weather's convenient, sometimes when it's not. But like, I used to live in the south side of town, work in the north side of town, and I kid you not, I was scared of all you drivers from about Main Street, not even quite, a little before Main Street, all the way up until I got past the Capitol. So has there been any discussion to make any of that safer? And like, I love awareness, but awareness doesn't get people to put their phone down when they're texting. Sorry, I'm getting like heated, like, don't text and drive, everybody. It makes me mad. I will throw a balloon with red Jello in it at you. So I guess my question is, and I've done a lot of traveling, is there any discussion to make those areas where there isn't trail safer? Like, you look at Minneapolis and things are very color-coded with green sidewalks. I've been in, where was it, Atlanta or St. Louis, I think. There was actually a concrete border, and I just, like, was ready to move. And I'm born and raised in North Dakota, and I love it here. But, like, just something like that, like, actual security, safety measures to help somebody basically not veer off and, like, take me out. Because if I'm going to die riding bike, I want to die with a bear mauling me, to be honest. And yes, you can laugh at that. That was funny. So then my other question is, too, with people with being avid cyclists, because the community is very large in Bismarck-Mandan, is there any discussion about maybe having like a locking station? Because I mean, bikes can easily get into thousands of dollars. And I know people that just ride a Huffy to commute just because they're like, if it's stolen, it's $100. So I guess two questions, anything about infrastructure conversation and anything about people using their own bikes with a secure place to lock them up.
As far as infrastructure, I think the conversation is starting with the partnership with the Department of Transportation and the safety campaign and the awareness, you know, of where bikes are supposed to be and ideally should be ridden, and you know how they mix in with vehicles as well. As far as infrastructure, you know, that's something that probably needs to be grown into, and probably a question that addresses more than just our bike share program as well, probably in our city safety as a whole. And then does anyone want to answer?
One comment about your locks, that's a great point. On the bikes that we have, they all come with a cable lock. So every bike that you check out, you can lock anywhere. So if you take it downtown, you can lock it wherever you are. As far as like your bike to lock to a docking station, that part I don't believe we have that capability. That's a great point. We can take that back with us. But as far as our bikes, we do have the capability to have, each one of them has a cable lock. Good question.
I have seen like big locking docking stations in other states, and
Yeah.
they're amazing, and there's very different types. So.
Yeah, good point.
I'd imagine to get some of that infrastructure in place, people have got to start showing up at those planning meetings, and this kind of program can start and spark that conversation. But you know, you look at St. Louis or Minneapolis with those protective walls in place, that investment was made likely to relieve traffic congestion, right? And so there was a return on investment there other than just making bikers safe. And I think that'd be the kind of conversation we'd have to have here too. But I think that goes to our planning commission, and hopefully we're going to those meetings. So, but here, question right up front here, Jake.
Two questions. One, do the bikes have GPS on them in case they're stolen? And then two, for the electrical, is the plan to connect them to the grid, or will there be like solar panels used so they're totally self-sustaining? And then also the pads themselves kind of set up in a way in anticipating electrical bikes down the road?
That is a great question. I'm going to start with your last question and move on to your first. So right now, we are all hardwired. There is an opportunity for solar panels, which is cool because then your stations can be movable. Say we want to take advantage of a new location in a couple of years, that solar panel system can be moved over there a lot easier than a hardwire thing. But the other downside on that is that they do have to move during the winter time. Everything's going to be kind of packed up and tucked away and put into hibernation. That includes the solar panels. You don't have to do that with underground conduit and stuff like that. We are starting with the physical bikes and not doing the electric system at this moment, but that is an idea that we could expand to in the future. What was your first question?
GPS.
Oh, right. These don't have GPS. Nope. So we've got a small amount, and because of like the local clusters, we'll be able to find them pretty easily. Fargo did say occasionally they do lose a bike. Some people, very rarely, like to throw them in the river. But in terms of like stealing them or hiding them, they're really unique bicycles. They're really easy to spot. They don't look like your average Huffy or typical Trek mountain bike. It's very obvious that it's a bike share bicycle.
So yeah, as long as it's checked out, somebody's being charged for it. So in the unfortunate incident where you're using it the appropriate way and somebody else stole it, I mean, that's what the locks are for. But again, that's those rare instances. It's not very common with the B-cycle bikes.
On that question of cost, so Ben, you mentioned $25 to $50 maintenance per year on the bikes, a couple $100 or hundreds of dollars maintenance on the sites. So we're looking at an operating budget of like under $10,000 here, you think, a year?
Yeah, we did quite a bit of homework to make sure that before we handed this off that it was sustainable and it was cost effective for the Bismarck Parks and Rec to take this over. So yeah, it's fairly reasonable. The Park and Rec District did put out an RFP for bike maintenance because we really wanted to have a partnership with somebody. So the Park and Rec District, they'll be great at balancing the bikes if they need to be. They'll be good at filling the tires. But if there's maintenance that needs to be done, we need a partner. And so the Park District put out an RFP, and our maintenance partner for our system is 701 Cycle and Sport.
And so the other thing I really liked is that the price point is very accessible, right? $5 an hour, 7 cents a minute after that. That's awesome. How do you project, in years 1 through 3, what's the revenue generation from bike fees on this? I know it's probably more art than science, but I'm just curious, looking at other markets and with the seasonal factors that we do, how much of this is going to have to be grant funded or publicly funded in some way versus revenue generation?
That's another great question. We do feel that our system is currently paid for, so that $50,000 we raised paid for all the bikes, the kiosk, and the docking stations. The other, doing math in my head here, the other 20-some thousand that we raised, that'll help pay for some of the concrete and the electrical that needs to be done, and then the software updates and the connectivity fees. That other $50,000, if we do get that grant, which is critical, it will help us expand. We do want to look at the e-cycles, so that is something we have talked about. But we'll continue to grant write. So this just isn't going to stop as soon as we launch this program in July. We're going to continue to grant write because we do think that it's important. We do feel that we can generate some fair amount of revenue with this, but it'll be a test. And hopefully after the first year, we're not launching until July, but hopefully we'll get some good data from the first year, and then we'll have some really solid data from the second year. Fargo's numbers, they averaged about 100,000 riders a year. So they had a lot of riders, but again, based on the fact that NDSU students could ride for free, that probably had a lot to do with their ridership. But we do feel that this is a very family-friendly program, too. And that for people like I work downtown, and to think that I could grab a bike over my lunch hour, bike down to one of the parks, have my lunch there, bike back for $5, I just think it's a great program. Have an opportunity to take in a little nature, get in some exercise, and support the Park District.
Yeah, absolutely. Question in back there?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this program. I've previously managed commute and mobility programs for a corporation before. Is it planned to provide a corporate partnership for a company or for a business to provide as an amenity or an incentive for their staff? And my follow-up question would be, is this going to be a year-round system?
I have to say I had a hard time hearing that question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can repeat. Is the intention to provide the ability for corporate sponsorships for employees to have access to the system in an employer-provided setup? And then as part of that, would it be a year-round program?
Yeah, that's a good question. Hold on.
So it wouldn't be year-round. It would be seasonal. So this is a later season for us. I think we said early on we could get bikes out as early as April, and this year would not have been the year to have bikes out in April, but it would be a seasonal spring to fall as weather permits, and then the corporate partnerships. Oh, BSC we talked about as a potential partnership, just similar to how NDSU use it for their students. Yep, United Tribes, University of Mary. That is something we looked at early on too, looking at the partnering or placement for recreation versus for use. University of Mary, if you're a student there, it's not feasible to drive from one side of campus to another if you've been there. But if your classes are at 8:50, ends at 8:50, and the next one starts at 9, it's also kind of a jaunt. So it is that we haven't had those conversations for planning yet, but there's definitely opportunity there.
Is there another question right there?
So I think this is a great idea, great program. One concern I have, and I guess I'm just thinking about my lifestyle, I spend a lot of time in coffee shops and doing meetings and that type of thing. I would grab a bike and do this, but if the bike is sitting outside of a coffee shop for an hour and a half, I'm ticking up time paying rent on a vehicle that's just sitting there. Are you going to offer like a day rate or like a pass or something like that that I could buy for a couple $100 a year or something like that, so I don't have to worry about that type of thing?
That's a great question. We have talked about it, nothing finalized at this point, but other systems have like a season pass. So the entire year you pay a set rate, you can ride as many times as possible. When I was speaking with Fargo, I remember they always like to highlight one of their patrons. This guy rode everywhere and had like 3 times as much miles as every single other person in their system. So he definitely got his money's worth paying that annual pass.
I think that is, I love this Million Cups because we have ideas, but then we get an opportunity to hear from the audience, and they come up with some great suggestions. So we're just launching this program. I do think there's great opportunities to expand our locations, our offerings in terms of an hourly rate compared to like a seasonal rate. So yeah, there's some really good ideas that come out of something like this, and we'll take this all back. And Kevin Klipfel, the executive director with Bismarck Parks and Rec, is here as well. So we'll take this all back, and this will be part of that advisory group that sits down and says, okay, this is what we did this year. How can we improve this program? Because we want to continue to expand upon this. This is not just a one and done with 4 locations, and we're washing our hands of it. We're going to continue to expand it because I think it's so critical to the health of our community to have something like this available.
I like the season pass idea too. I think you could create a competition here as well. If there's a scoreboard, I'm in. All right, and my 2 teenagers are very competitive. They'd love that too.
We could crown them here.
Right? Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Do we have? Oh, right in back there.
Thank you for presenting. Also, thank you, 1 Million Cups, for, I agree with Julie when she says that this is a gem of Bismarck. It really provides a lot of opportunities for information. I'll say a few things and then just you can answer as goes. But to complement what David said in communication with Bismarck, and that I watch a lot of the meetings, and even this week at the MPO meeting, the bike ped plan was mentioned, and they were talking about the TA grants and different things that are on the docket, and those are starting to post even as late as 2026. So Dakota Media Access does a great job listening to those meetings and put it on your roadmap if you haven't already. There's very interesting stuff that occurs at the MPO long before it ever gets in front of our subcommittee boards in Bismarck. I like what you said, Julie, about you can ride the bikes anywhere. A nice 5th location, I think, would be the Golf Dome, because that back park and the topography of that riding is tremendous, as well as I worked at the Baptist Home for 15 months, and there's a lot of elderly people that look out the windows and enjoy the walkers and the bikers, and it's an entertainment that they don't get, or that they appreciate, because they don't move very well. So what they see is very profound. On Andrew's comment about the, is it going to be a year-round with like the winter tires and those type of things, that's a growing thing. I know some people that travel from here to Minnesota for the competitions and things. Why we could use that as an expansion to draw people here. And I like those questions, but my question, I guess, would be in relation to maybe tell us your involvement. Like, I saw you nodding up and down when I mentioned the MPO, so maybe help educate the rest of the listeners here as far as your what you listen to on that, because that's long term. Those are things that can impact the growth of your program.
Mike, if I understand your question correct, you want some more information on how involved or how aware of the MPO initiative they are, or?
Yeah, basically as far as that incorporated with everything else that you're trying to do to make this successful, because I think it is an amazing opportunity as well.
Yes, we initially had many meetings with Mandan, And that was kind of when we first talked, our big picture idea is to connect Bismarck and Mandan together. I think that in our conversations, we had to make it a phased approach. So this is phase 1, and that is definitely a part of either phase 2 or phase 3. And so we've had conversations with Cole and Alan, yep, with them. So they're very aware of what's going on here in Bismarck and our project, and so that's definitely a part of phase 2 or phase 3.
Yeah, and some of the individuals that attended the meetings, like we had Colin Kemiset that was part of the meeting, who's an he's an avid, oh, I can't talk today. He likes to say cycle, let's just put it that way. And then there was another gentleman, and he was kind of representing the trail out to Harmon Lake, because we thought that might be a good place to put a kiosk as well. So, like I said, definitely big picture ideas. Like I said, we were boiling the ocean for a little bit there. We've decided to just scale it back. But yeah, there's opportunities, and you know, if we get this program, or when we launch this program in Bismarck, we're happy to help Mandan move forward with the program as well, because I think between the two of us, there's a lot of trails that we can connect to, and there's a lot of beautiful nature and scenery that people can see while sitting on a bike.
Yes, I have a question.
Metro. And we did bring them to the table for some of these conversations. And to touch on the infrastructure question too, I don't think one necessarily has to exist before the other. I think if we can launch something like this, if we can increase the ridership in general in the Bismarck community, that multimodal transportation it won't even be a question when we talk about road improvements and just transportation improvements in general in our community. Most cities, I worked for an engineer firm for a short while, but it was pretty evident that in their plans they were including multimodal transportation as part of their plans. You get more bang for your buck, and you're making system linkage is just important when we talk about inclusivity for our community. So I think if we get more people out there and it's more obvious that people want to use these types of amenities, whether it's through B-cycle or your own bicycle, I think it tells the community that we need to improve to match what our citizens need.
The question I have is there anything in place to teach, like, bicycle etiquette? I use the paths tons of time, you know, every path I've been on in Bismarck, Mandan. So, and then you run across a bicycler that comes up behind you. Some of them know the etiquette, some of them don't. And I also have a bicycle. I huff around on my Huffy. And what I did was I installed a horn, and I can honk the horn quite a bit of distance, and they're aware, because a lot of times you get approached and they say to your left, and you almost jump into them instead of jumping away from them. So I don't know if, you know, bicycle etiquette would be great, because I see more people not doing it than doing it.
Yeah, at this time we don't have anything in place, but I do think that's a really good thing to think about. I love to run, and yeah, you know, I will be running, and all of a sudden the bicyclists will come flying up behind me and not announce that they're coming. And you know, I'm old. I weave. You know, I go to the right, I go to the left. I'm all over the place. So yeah, you know, I think if we can help educate people on the rules of the trail and the rules of the road, it's always a good thing.
Great. Jackie, can you do the honors of our last question of the morning?
Yes, thank you so much, Bike Share people. I think we can all agree that you are the team we would want to take an idea and turn it into a reality. So thanks so much. Thanks everyone for coming. Last question, whoever gets this, it's the big one. What can we, 1 Million Cups Bismarck Mandan, do to help this program in your group succeed?
I would start by saying spread awareness and make the awareness available for the sponsorship opportunities. The more funding we're able to get, the bigger this thing is going to get down the road. So I would say that's the biggest thing is awareness. reaching as many people as we can in these early stages. So.
I will say there's a lot of larger corporations within the Bismarck-Mandan area that have foundations and grants, and if they know of something that would work for us, happy to apply for a grant and appreciate the opportunity to kind of share our story and, like I said, really get this program rolling.
Good, good work. All right, let's hear it for our Berkshire group here, gang. Thank you so much, guys. All right, well, that's all we have this week. If I could slide forward one. Next week we have Assure Home Mortgage presenting, and then June 1st we are off. So note that on our calendars. June 1st we will not have 1 million cups that week, and come back on June 8th with Fanatics events. And that's all we got, gang. Hope everyone has a good rest of the week.